Hi guys, I'm Amy. Welcome back to my channel. Today I have a reading wrap up for you in which, for the most part, I did not enjoy most of these books, but there is one that I really loved and another one that I thought was very cute. So if you guys are interested in those books, then go ahead and keep on watching. All right, let's start with the first book. This is The Keeper of Lost Things by Ruth Hogan. This is a contemporary story in which our main character, oh, I don't even remember her name, Laura, works for an elderly gentleman who is an author, and she's just kind of his housekeeper. She helps with some of his like administrative things for writing books, but as he's gotten older, he's written less and less, and she finds out these things about him about his past. There are multiple timelines. There's quite a few characters in this story, but the crux of it is that we're following Laura, and when Anthony passes away, he leaves her all of these things that he would pick up when he was out and about. So he would take things that he found, be it a button or a puzzle or a key or a hair tie, and take them home, label them, and catalog them. And he has charged Laura with returning these lost things to people. And I thought this book was so cliche and corny. There were several phrases that I felt like the author overused. There's so many words in the English language that we don't need to repeat phrases throughout a book to describe a certain feeling. That's a major pet peeve of mine, and it definitely happened in this book. There are some stories within this book that, because there are multiple timelines, that I really did enjoy and I thought they were sweet, but overall I thought this book was incredibly cliche and hypocritical in the sense that there is this one portion of this book where Anthony's having trouble getting books or stories published because the endings are not clear-cut and happy and cute. But that's exactly what this book is, which I thought was odd. I did cry, I did get emotional, so I was connected to that degree, although I cry very easily when I read books. That's not like a feat for a book to make me cry, but I just was really disappointed in this. It was cliche and corny and not at all what I wanted, and that was a major disappointment. Although, as much as The Keeper of Lost Things was a major disappointment, I have to say this next book has been the most disappointing book that I have read in a very long time, because I wouldn't say I had crazy high hopes for this book, but I had heard really good things about it and I really didn't like it. And that is The Child Finder by Renee Denfeld. This is the story of Naomi Cottle. She is referred to as the Child Finder. She's a private investigator who is known for finding children who have been lost when the police and the law enforcement and the authorities have moved on to different cases. And part of the reason that she is so good at this, people think, is because she herself was a lost child and does not remember anything prior to her being found. And in this story, Naomi is investigating the disappearance of a 5-year-old girl 3 years prior, so the little girl would be 8 now, of Madison Culver, who was lost in the Skookum National Forest in Oregon. And it's snowy and cold, and it's in this national forest, and I don't think this book was terribly well written. I think there are phrases that are so odd, and this book could have been so good, and I don't know, it wasn't for me. This is definitely a book that I wouldn't call it a thriller at all. I don't read thrillers, but this has a mystery component, and there's a reason I think I'm not compelled or interested in that genre, is because I'm not compelled to read them. I could have cared less what happened to the characters in this book, and I come to find out this is going to be a series. This is book 1 of the Naomi Cottle series, and I think it's 2020 or 2019 that the next one is supposed to come out. But I know people really like this book, and from what I can tell on Goodreads, I'm definitely in the minority on this. People really enjoyed it. This was also had cliche moments, and I can understand why people liked it. It just wasn't for me, and I don't think it was well written, and I will not be continuing on with the series. It's a pretty book, but it's just, I can't even create words for how odd I thought this book was. Now, that last book was definitely the most disappointing read that I've had in a really long time, but I have to say that this next book is probably the worst book that I've read in maybe ever. Well, I don't know, I've read some pretty bad ones, but this one was really bad. And I didn't have any expectations going into it, so that's saying something. And that is Whiskey by Bruce Holbert. This is a book that I received in a Page Habit box, so it was annotated with sticky notes from him. And this is the story about two brothers who live just south of the Colville Indian Reservation in Washington State. And our main brother is Andre, and you quickly find out that he's going through a divorce potentially with his wife, and his brother and then you find out that it's his younger brother, his daughter is missing. And they are half Native American. They come from a very broken marriage and a broken family, and they themselves have had struggles. There is a lot of alcohol abuse in here. But I gotta say, as much as the plot and what it says it is about these two brothers going to find their niece/daughter, I don't understand what happened in this book. There are typos in this book in which a character it's the wrong name. It says Pam instead of Peg. I kid you not. So there was that, but this book reads in these chunky, like, vignette type stories, but they're not at all connected. And then come to find out, I said that to Erin, I was like, this book just doesn't flow. It has no flow, and some of these stories, like, I don't know why they're in here. I don't know the reason for it. And in the back, one of the last annotations is that these stories, this book started as somewhat of a collection of short stories, and that's exactly what it reads like, but not in a way that flows or makes sense. I really can't recommend this book. It flabbergasted me. Like, I finished it and it kept me up because I was trying to piece together what I just read and I couldn't. It was just so weird, and I don't know what the point of it was. So if you guys have read this, please share your thoughts, because I don't have no idea what to think of it. And I was so excited to read it because I'm from Washington State. I live in Washington State, and it disappointed me very much so. More so than I really have words for. I gave it 1 star. I finished this book and I still gave it 1 star, so beware. I also picked up a middle grade, so after finishing The Child Finder and Whiskey back to back, I read Whiskey and then Child Finder, I was like, I'm gonna pick up a book that's very light and fluffy and I have a feeling will make me smile. So I read Because of Winn Dixie by Kate DiCamillo. This is a Newbery Honor book, and that's for good reason. This is a very, very sweet story about a little girl who lives with her dad. They recently moved to Florida, and he's a preacher, and in the first chapter, she acquires a dog that she names Winn Dixie, and this dog is just really great and wonderful. He's a stray. She gets him cleaned up, and it's about how Winn Dixie made things okay for this little girl. It's very sweet. I got a little bit emotional at the end. I've literally read it in like no time at all because very big font, very large margins. I recommend it. It's a sweet story. Middle grade March is coming up, and this one would definitely be worth picking up. And the book that I absolutely loved out of this bunch, thank goodness there was one, but it was the first one I read of this bunch, so we definitely need to hopefully be on the upswing with the books that I'm currently reading, is The Shell Collector by Anthony Doerr. Anthony Doerr is, of course, the author of All the Light We Cannot See, which is a book that I read last fall and really, really enjoyed. And this is his short story collection. I absolutely loved it. I actually don't remember what I rated it on Goodreads, but now that I'm thinking back on it, I feel like if it's not 5 star, I would rate it 5 star. I adored these stories and the atmosphere. If you enjoy nature writing, there's a lot about forests and hunting and fishing, but that being said, that there is a lot about hunting, especially, there's some gruesome bits. So if you don't like reading about the killing of animals, totally not the book for you. But I thought these stories were stunning. They were beautiful. I think I could say that I enjoyed this collection more than I enjoyed All the Light We Cannot See. Not to diminish how much I enjoyed All the Light We Cannot See, but this is a gorgeous story collection. I loved it a lot. He's so good with words. His ability to write is outstanding. His prose is gorgeous, and I was here for it. I feel like I need to reread it, even though I just read it a couple weeks ago, but oh my gosh, you guys, it's so good. Go read it. It's a great story collection, and his writing is so good. It's so good. Alrighty guys, there you have it. There is the last bunch of books that I got around to reading. Unfortunately, for the most part, not the best books I've ever read, but there was The Shell Collector because of Winn Dixie. So not all bad, and you can't love / even like every book that you read, because then you wouldn't appreciate the books that you do love and like. So what have you read recently? If you guys have read any of these books, please let me know your thoughts. And if I encourage you to read any of these, read this Shell Collector. It's a stunning story collection. But if you guys like this video, please like it. And if you loved it, please subscribe, and we'll see you in my next video. Happy reading!